Okay, kids, how we doing today? Today we have a 2005. This is a C320 with the, I believe, the M112 engine, something like that. Either way, we're showing how do you get the throttle body off the back of this thing. And this isn't I mean, anybody can do it if you really try. Just take your time, be careful. Take off the front engine cover thing. It's a weird little peg right there, and then has these weird things that has to kind of lift up and pull it out and wiggle it. I can't really describe how to remove that damn thing. You just got to be careful you don't break off these two little points right here. But either way, getting it off is easy. Getting it on is where it's not fun. You then have your beautiful Mercedes-Benz engine cover here, beauty cover. This also serves as your intake. The two end hoses, no big deal. The back one right there, it just sits on top of your mass airflow sensor, back in there. The best way to pull that, just grab it real hard, firmly, rip that thing out. That's it. Really, there isn't anything. It just sits on these little rubber things right here. At a later, once you have it apart, you might want to put, I tend to put a little bit of grease on those things for future Malachi. That's me, by the way, to make it easier to get them on and off. At that point in time, you're seeing this thing sticking out, and you're like, how do I get this damn thing out of here? Step one, this is where the technical information starts coming in. There is right here a little zip tie. This thing locks together. I'm going to try and do this with one hand here. See how it spreads apart? This thing holds this thing in place, and right here, this little tab right here, focus, you fucking fucker, locks into this little tab here. So when these things squeeze together, it's going to click and lock in place. Then there's a zip tie right here that holds it in place. Either cut the zip tie, or in my case, I slid the zip tie over to the side. I'm going to try and reuse it if possible. I might not be able to, might have to use a new zip tie, whatever. These two little ear things right here clamp onto, it's hard to see with the fuel rail here, but one right here, my finger's touching it, and the other one's right here. So you can see them on this side real easy. And it grips those things with these two little ears. So once you pop this off, you got to sit there and work a screwdriver in here and try and pop this little tab right in here that I'm touching with the tip of my finger off of this little pawl, and suddenly that thing will pop right loose, and then you got to work it and work it. I think there's a hose that goes under here or something. I'm not sure, but eventually it comes out completely, and you set that little honky off to the side, out of your way. Next part, this isn't too bad. There is a mass airflow sensor. This is a classic double thing, so you pinch the two ends and pull it out. This one really wasn't too bad. There's a lot of sand and grit in there, but it actually came out pretty easy as far as those go. The last part of it, to get the mass airflow sensor, to get you more room, is it's held in place by this one little metal tang. It just pops into the freaking bore, and you just pry that back with a screwdriver. And I would suggest lubricant of some kind. Now, I love this stuff, but it's like $15, $16 a can, so get this WD-40 will work just fucking fine. PB Blaster also works good. That used to be also my go-to. However, just try not to shove screwdrivers in here and tearing up the seal. But work it, and it pops right out. Next part you're going to run into, and this is going to fucking fuck you, is you get this son of a bitch. And just an elbow, there's a vacuum line over to, I don't know if it's the brake booster. That's what I think it is. Either way, get that off the side right here. In my case, I ended up using big long flathead screwdriver. Now I use very thin screwdrivers. I like them as opposed to big hunkin' pry bar style. The big bastards, they don't have any give, so you end up breaking plastic because they put so much force you don't realize that these things bend and flex more, so you have a better idea if you're putting too much force on it. I may have used this a little bit, I don't think so. Another pro tip, I love using these as pry bars because they allow you to grab a hose or whatnot, or get behind the hose and work two sides of it at once instead of just like a screwdriver or a pry bar, just that. These are the only tools I used for this whole job, are right here on this. I may have used these duck bills. Not everybody has these. This isn't something the average person's going to have, but I like them for hoses. So now at this point you've got your heater hose off. Now I myself pried this thing up with a screwdriver because it reaches in and locks on and holds it in place onto the top of the throttle body in some way. I'm not sure. I believe it goes like this. Something like that, if that makes any sense. Hope this thing isn't rotating and flipping. We'll see how this video goes. So I popped that up, and then once that was flipped up there, wiggled it off and came right off. I was fooled for a second when I first saw these little hole slot things, and I thought, oh crap, it's got a metal screw band style hose clamp, and it's hose clamped on. I don't see a screwdriver end that I can get in there, so I'm thinking it's metal banded on and we have to pull the intake. Turned out I was wrong, so I was misled in that situation. Once that pops loose, then you're in the throttle body. Alright, now in my case I opted at this point to disconnect the passenger side line from the PCV system to this. Now this has two rubber nipples in here. It's got a lot of moisture in there. There's this one right here, which goes into the intake. See that black hole right down there? It goes into that, I believe. Or yeah, it goes right over that. That black hole is actually a nipple sticking out, and it goes into this rubber hose. I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking. This barbed end, crooked end thing goes into the top of your throttle body. Right here. Right there. Okay. So you got to try and work that up and out. I was able to get the one off the intake side, but I couldn't get the one out of the throttle body yet. I didn't know about that little hose that goes over this and inside. The angle part is a hard piece that goes up inside the throttle body, and then the rubber boot just covers everything. I didn't quite realize that at first. Next part, you can try and undo your throttle body from, unplug it from there. I found it was easier to leave it plugged in, pull the whole throttle body up, and I was able to get it out. This plug was a bitch to undo. This is where using a little bit of creeper oil there worked great. Finally, there's 4 screws holding it in. In my case, I used my fancy new tool I'm all happy about getting. Yay, I love this thing so far. This I happen to have a T47 on here, and you have 4 little bolts holding it in place, and zipped them right out, wiggle it out, and then as you're wiggling it out, get this thing off without breaking it out of here. Took a little bit of thing, then whole throttle body comes right out, and then get to cleaning, honky. Me, brake clean. Made a deal with a local auto parts store. I'm getting it by the case now because it's just way cheaper. And just get to cleaning. This thing was horrendously filthy. I don't think that's his problem, but I was paid. He was told that's what he needs, so that's what you do. So I hope somebody learned something. I just got to finish cleaning my neck right here and putting it back together. Peace out, bitches. Only 10 minutes on a beautiful Sunday, Tennessee day. Yeehaw, giggity.